Hi everybody, and welcome to a tutorial on how to do bases in a way that is going to look good and is not going to take you absolutely all day. So I'm going to show you how to get some sand on the base, how to base coat it, how to make sure it's not going to fall off, and how to paint it and apply some flock onto it so it looks good like this. So things that you're going to need: paints we've got here: Gorgrunter fur, Talon sand, and new Shabty bone. Brushes that we're going to use, go into a bit more detail in a bit, but we're not going to use any fine detail or new brushes in this. Really, brush to get the PVA glue on and a brush for doing some dry brushing too. We're going to need some static grass over here. We also have some sand and gravel mix, which I'll show you in a moment, and we're going to need some PVA. So let's get to it. What we're going to do now is get some texture onto the base. Texture that we're going to use is some a mixture of fine sand, some gravel, some bits of slate. Just makes the makes it a little bit more realistic than just one size of sand or gravel in there. Yeah, so the first thing to do is get some PVA onto your base. So on here, PVA, do not pay over the odds for PVA. I've bought more expensive stuff in the past, I've bought cheap stuff. To be honest, for stuff like this, really can't tell the difference. If you're a carpenter and sticking wood together and that's your job, you'll probably get more out of the expensive stuff, but for this seems to work just fine. So I'm going to apply it by popping it in like this. Okay, brush them off the side. When you're actually doing your model, just get the rather than actually doing a video just on bases, this is what you do in real life. Get the PVA onto the base, avoid the feet, and avoid the sides. So you go, you do it rather like that. So the main point of this bit is don't actually fully sand your base before sticking the model on, otherwise it will be a nightmare, because the model just will not glue onto a sanded base easily. Okay, right, here we've got the base pretty dry now. If you just have a look on the edge of the base, if you get anything on the edge there, just give that a just wipe that off with your fingers, so it's not going to affect how the base looks right at the end. Okay, when it's all finished, now what we can do, not everybody does this, I definitely like to do this, is actually get some more PVA glue on there, some really thin down PVA glue to actually seal it. Okay, so if you can see what that's like in there, it's probably more water than PVA. Paint that over the top. Now what this means is that after lots and lots of use, your all of your, hang on, I'm covering it up there we go. This is the perils of being left-handed. Here we go. Let's just change the angle a little bit there. So if you use your models a lot, especially if you're doing a game like Blood Bowl where you've got to pick your models up, lay them down, that kind of thing, probably wouldn't affect it that much if it was in a just in a cabinet the whole time. If you're moving them from tournament to tournament, your basing materials, whether it's flock or sand, can get knocked off. So this will seal it in, just to make sure all your hard work and all the foundations of your base don't get ruined straight away. Right, there we go. Then you let that dry. Might seem like a lot of work, but if you're doing this with a big group of models, or 5 or 6 models at once, you know, the first one will be dry by the time we finish the last one. As you saw there, didn't take that long to do that. Right, see you in a bit. It's all dry now. So PVA on the bottom, layer of PVA on the top, which will help any of the paint stick. There's a bit of a nub of plastic on the side and get rid of that. And yeah, we'll go outside when it's light to spray this up and undercoat it. Hello, right, so been in the garage and undercoated the base. Now what I've done is done black spray undercoat first. Don't know if you can pick it up on this, but you can probably see in some of the recesses it's quite dark. That's to take advantage of how the contrast paints work. Then I sprayed it on top of that, just kind of at a 45-degree angle all the way around with some wraith bone. So what I'm going to do is show you what it looks like when we get the contrast paint on there. Now what the contrast paint will do, it'll look a lot darker in the crevices in between the granules, and it'll look lighter on top. So I've got one chance to get this right because I've only got one of these things undercoated, so fingers crossed. Anybody who saw the first video where I chucked paint all over the place. Okay, we're on, and you can see it's running into the cracks there. It should be quite satisfying. Here we go, so let's do this. Now, when I was editing the last video, I found something that actually sped up the video speed for when you guys are watching, so I'm going to try that. So, you can see here, I have, this is what it's like when the gold grunt fur dries over the top of it. So it's already got some texture on there and some, you can see the texture on it. We're going to bring that up a bit by doing a dry brush with some Talan sand. So, get some paint on your brush, about that amount there, and you wipe it off until there's very, very little left on there. So then you go and just lightly dust across the top of it. Might need to go across a couple of times, but you can already, hopefully already see how it's getting a little bit lighter there. Again. And you can see how it's already getting closer to what the lineman looks like there. Next thing we're going to do, because that should be pretty much dry already, we're going to go for an extra highlight with some Ushabti bone. Okay, again, get most of the paint off there, and again lightly dust across the top, and you can see how that's all starting to come out there. Doesn't take very long at all. Fantastic. Right, what I'm going to do next is we're going to just pause a second, and we're going to go to putting some flock and static grass on there. What we're going to do now is we're going to apply some static grass and flock, or flock first then static grass. So what we'll do first, we get our PVA, ooh, extreme close up, our PVA, some on that. Again, we're going to thin this down a little bit with some water, just to make it less fiddly, especially for the video. I've put the base on top of a pot of paint here. Now what I want to do is just put some blobs of PVA onto the model. I'll do this on the one that's got the elf on there as well. And here I've got a big old pot of flock. One second, let's zoom out a little bit here. Big old pot of flock, which built up over many years. Basically, go to any kind of railway modelling shop, your local wargame shop will have various bits of this as well. Okay, and what you do is you can apply it like this. And you see there, you're already starting to get quite a nice effect. If you're going to blow it off, blow it away from the pot of flock. I'll put the lid on. Okay. So we are going to let that dry there. Let's get the potter flock back here again. I'm just going to put some on the elf model. Yeah, after I started doing the video, the chap that I'm doing these for, he said he needed an extra lineman. So I thought, why not? Let's actually do one up. Very rarely actually do this until I've finished painting the model, but seems like a good time as any to do it now. So we have the, and what we'll then do is, if there's a model attached to it, just put the base in, waggle it round, move it away, and blow, and you see how it's coming together there. This needs to dry for a tiny bit, and then we're going to put some, I'd say probably about 3-4 minutes, and then I'll show you how to get the static grass on. I'll come back. What we're going to do now is we're going to get the last kind of bit of texture on there, which is some static grass. So what I'm going to do, get the base that we're using, the main example here, just do a little dab of this in the center of each of the patches that you've done, because what this does, it gives you 3 or 4 bits of height on the base. Just makes it really interesting for the eye. You've got the sand, or you've got the main base underneath. You've got the sand, you've got the flock, and now you're going to have the static grass. So this stuff's pretty cool. So just dab it on in there. And again, remember, you know, I did this wrong once. I was cleaning up all afternoon. If you blow on it, it'll actually make some of the strands of grass stand up and make it look a bit more realistic. But do not blow over an open pot of static grass, because it is really light, really fiddly, and it will go all over your room. You'll breathe it in, end up with a green dog, everything. Okay, other way you can do it, hold the model like that, give it a shake over the top, nice and gentle, and blow it away. So you see how that's coming together there. Let's zoom in a little bit. That's coming together. Okay, I'm going to let that dry. Then what I'm going to do the edging on the base, and that'll be about it. This is about drying out. One thing I didn't say we'd need at the start of the video is some black, because what we're going to do now is just some black around the edge of the base. It just makes everything a lot neater and a lot tidier. So again, what you can do is just use the side of the brush .
Here we go, making really getting.
Okay, so welcome back. You can see how the final base looks now in amongst a team done in the same style of basing. So ties everything in together, and advantage of doing things like this is you get lots of things in there interest the eye. So you've got the sand on the bottom, you've got a couple of different shades on the sand too, you've got the flock there, you've got the raised bits of the static grass on top of it as well, and ties it in quite nicely. So hope that's been useful, and yeah, let me know if you give it a go. Let me know what you think. Cheers, bye bye.